Why forgiveness is a challenge for male survivors. This has been a topic that has been on my mind ever since I can remember. Um, and as I've done a lot of research and interviewing people and talking to people, there's very little about why males have a struggle with forgiveness. There has been a few researchers that would say that men feel that it is an effeminate process, and we are taught that we can't be forgiving. We're not supposed to be empathetic. We're supposed to fight back. We're supposed to hold grudges. These are all these ideals that we have been told as boys growing up into a teenagers to young adult to adults, that men are supposed to be. This is our ideology. This is what we see in the movies. This is what we see in books and magazines. Men are strong, and we can't forgive because then that's a sign of weakness. But unfortunately, what is really sad about not being able to forgive is that we hold that inside of us, that anger. And what happens is that if we don't get the anger out, the inflammation that is built up from this can lead to diseases and possibly death. And we've also seen that as survivors worry about, if I give someone forgiveness, does that condone what that person did to me? And does that let them off the hook? And we have to realize that forgiveness is for ourselves first. We have to learn to forgive ourselves before we can forgive someone else. And many times, like in my case, the people, when I was to the point that I was ready to forgive, and that's something we need to make sure we all understand, each survivor has to go at their own time and their own pace to get to that point to be willing to forgive. And when I was able to say, okay, I think I need to forgive, I first forgave myself for thinking that it was my fault, that I caused this, that it was my responsibility that this happened to me. And once I was able to wrap my head around that and say, you're forgiven for this, it's not your fault, I was able then to look outside myself. Do I want to forgive these abusers? And unfortunately for me, a lot of the abusers had passed away by that time, because they were already in their 50s and 60s when I was being abused. And so I never got the chance to really to contact them, where a lot of people say we should. And so I realized that this is something that is personal, and this is something that each survivor needs to do. We also have the pressure from our churches and from the spiritual worlds that we have to forgive. And there are a lot of people feel that this forgiveness idea is really kind of an evil cloak that is trying to get us not to talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, then we can't make allegations or anything against the church or anybody who is a part of something. So it kind of suppresses the survivor. So what I really tell you to do is, first, you need to acknowledge that this happened to you. And once you are able to do that, you can do that through journaling, from artwork, from pottery, from writing poetry, and you start to discover it yourself. Then once you have an idea inside yourself that you understand that this happened to you, then you could reach out to someone and share it, like a partner or a parent or someone, that this happened to you. Because by that point, you've already understood and owned the fact that it happened to you. And you don't need the validation from someone outside to tell you that it was okay, or that we hear you or we understand, because you've already did that for yourself. And then what you need to do is forgive yourself. And that's a process that takes time. And you may need professional help to help you do that. And that is a vital thing, because a lot of people say that if we don't forgive, we are then trapped within ourselves. And then once you're able to forgive yourself, then you have the choice and the power, if you choose, to forgive the people who abused you. It's your choice.